One of the sexiest maps in the map pool. That's a good 9 out of 10 as far as I'm concerned. Very nice design, of course, by Blizzard. The question is it competitive? We don't know that yet. We haven't got enough games on this map to really know, but we're going to find out here at the MLG Pro Circuit, and here we are in Star Station with this man in the red trunks playing Zerg to the northwest. He is Gamma Bear's Sen.
And down in the bottom right side, of course, his opponent fumbling through those last 2 games. He's got to make sure he's got a good build order, but honestly, it's going to come down to the control as it does so often in ZVZ. It is going to be Roots Vibe. Now, I'm kind of curious to see exactly what he does here in this game. So far, the build orders have been almost identical up until the tech choices. So the timing of the expansion, the timing of the spawning pool, and even the gas a lot of these times has been right in tune with each other. And so it's really been the decision-making there that's been pulling Sen further and further ahead.
Yeah, it certainly has. As I said, I don't really blame Vibe for losing in Game 2 because it just seems like it was going to take some pretty masterful work to hold that, and even if he had held it, at what cost would he have held it? How much damage would he have taken? Because if it had put him far enough behind, it wouldn't have even mattered. Yeah, it wouldn't have made a difference. We've got Hatch first from both of these guys here on around 15 supply, and we'll see how long they decide to delay their spawning pools. Looks like we might even see 17 pool from both of them, which is super late. Just saying, hey, you know what? I don't want to build my spawning pool yet. I really, really don't. 17 pool comes in here for Vibe. Sen actually hasn't built his yet because he's gone gas first, and there we go. We see it going down. So that's nice and late. It's a good start if you know you can get away with it, because economically having that many drones at that stage is always wonderful.
Now, one thing I do want to mention is that this map is forced cross-spawn locations. Earlier versions of the map were not. I personally played some versions of this map where we would both spawn, say, in bottom right and bottom left, and that, as you're mentioning, John, is not a competitive map. Just because the spawns are so close, there's nowhere to actually expand after your natural. But that is why you'll see a lot of times in tournaments, this one included, that there will be a forced spawn. That's also where you're going to be seeing the Overlords heading out directly towards each other right out of the gate. No, they're not map hacks. No, they're not having a little earpiece where they know what their opponent's doing. That's just how the map is laid out, which honestly for us, it makes kind of more of a macro-oriented game for the most part, which we have not seen in this series so far. I mean, that's a long way to run your lings across the map. Getting those surprise timing attacks is going to be a little bit more tough than what we've seen so far. That's
very true. So we may see delays, and I think the 17 spawning pool is indicative of the fact that these guys want to play a slightly longer game. The thing is, in Zerg versus Zerg, what does that really mean?
Right.
Late game ZVZ can happen, but it's not that common. We were talking about the Viper earlier as a unit that doesn't really get seen that much in this matchup. And I'm trying to think of scenarios where the Viper would be useful, and I think the only scenario I can think of would be in a late game kind of Broodlord v Broodlord battle with Hydras on the ground, being able to pull Broodlords out of position to make sure they get away from their ground cover. But even then, I mean, that's so situational.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, especially since Zerglings and Ultras are so common, I mean, especially with the Zerglings, but the Ultras as well in the CBZ matchup, that it's not really going to be helping you out one bit. Now, right now, we are going to be having a Baneling Nest on the way here for Sen. Taking a look at Vibe, he's actually going to be getting double Evolution Tabor, which is an interesting choice. Now, normally you're going to be seeing the melee and armor upgrades off of this, but if he does decide to try and go for Roach Hydra, that is something that is viable. You just don't see it nearly as much.
This is a little bit dicey, admittedly, with the number of drones that are being produced here by Sen. It seems to me, and he's going Les, so it's definitely now the case that Baneling Nest was built defensively. So this is going to be double ups for melee here. So we're going to see a lot of lane pressure, huge amounts of it, and that Carapace, of course, is incredibly useful in that regard. And we may see an attempt to eventually transition to Ultralisk. The problem, of course, with a build like this is if you don't kill him before the Spire comes out, you have no answer to Mutalisks just wrecking your day. So the question is, when does Vibe decide to attack?
Yeah, just a quick update on the other stream. Huck has been eliminated, 0-3 versus Innovation, which I know he is a big fan favorite. We do have more drones on the way now for Sen. Just taking a look overall, 36 to 36 drones. I love seeing this out of these players. There's going to be that one melee, one armor upgrade we were talking about a little bit earlier, the Lair Tech, about to be done here for Sen. And hasn't even been started for Vibe yet. So really, I mean, you're kind of limited on exactly the upgrades you can get past this. So I really want to know what's Vibe up to here. Just now starting that Lair Tech, though. And Zergling Speed just started as well.
Yeah, so you can see what he's trying to do. He's lining the Lair up specifically to get a very strong economy, strong lings, and to get that 2-2 immediately once the upgrades are finished. The problem he's got is that this leaves him with one window where he can basically do something, yeah? And that window is before the Spire comes out. Because once that Spire comes out, it's like, well, I don't actually have a way to kill your Mutalisks. I don't. I'm way too far behind in terms of their tech. He can't get a Hydra Den out now. Like, once his first attack, there's no way for him to respond to that. So it looks like what he's going to try and do is do pretty severe damage. And am I seeing that correctly? Yeah, Vibe's speed is so late. Wow. I mean, I guess he didn't need his speed to be that quick, but it is a really interesting build that we're seeing from him here.
Yeah, I mean, the timing of the speed, look, it's going to finish almost the exact same second as the upgrades here, and there's the Banelings on the way, and everything you said, John, is absolutely correct. He needs to do damage here right away. He needs to take care of those Banelings as quickly as possible. Able to get 2 of them so far. There goes the third without any free major detonations there for Sen. That is a lot of defensive Banelings, though. This is exactly what Sen needs to do right now, is defend, defend, defend. He's doing a great job of it so far. Vibe's got to be so careful. There's just so many Banelings, but here they come from Vibe. Did he do enough damage with his own Banelings to make it worth it? So far, those Queens holding the line. 5 kills, 2 kills. Vibe not in a good spot. Yes, he may get this expansion, but where's the counter to the Mutalisks? Nowhere in sight so far.
Yeah, he wants to, if he can do enough damage to kind of either kill his opponent or force him to not make those Mutalisks because he needs to make something else, that's fine. The problem is the Mutas are now on the way. He's now on borrowed time here. Vibe is not engaged well here. Initially, it was looking pretty good. He was picking off a Baneling for one lane. He was getting good trades. But now, once these Mutalisks come out, I don't see a way for Vibe to really make this work. I don't think he's done enough damage here. Now, extra Queens are coming out for Vibe as he realizes, oh dear, I think he's going to get this third base, which is absolutely fantastic. But Mutas are now out. So now what? What does he do?
He sees those Mutas. The Spore Crawlers go down immediately. His own third base, I wouldn't even call it under siege. It's just one Zergling there spotting that. And it's kind of interesting right now for the stage of the game. As he's got a lot of Lings, he can still put on pressure, but Sen is able to defend so well. He's still got Banelings on the defense. He's now throwing down some more creep. And really what now Vibe needs to do here, I feel like, is connect these 2 bases with creeps. He can move his Queens back and forth to make sure he can defend. But he has started that +2/+2. I'm just curious to see how effective are these Lings actually going to be. There's a random Queen in the middle of the map, which is not going to be good for Vibe right now, but he is baiting those Mutas away for now.
Yeah, and that's the thing, isn't it? Can Vibe continue to put on enough pressure to keep the Mutalisks away from his base? This +2 Carapace, once it kicks in, is going to end up actually being kind of nice for Vibe, especially considering it will also apply to the Queens, going to make them way more resistant here. Now he goes to third base, he gets yet another cancel, and he could even get out here before these Spine Crawlers actually root. And he is keeping Mutalisks away. He's getting another cancel! It was incredibly dicey for Sen to try and put that down, but that's another cancel here. And he's keeping the Mutalisks away from his base. His third base is now up, and he's got an Infestation Pit down as well. So this is looking a hell of a lot better from what could have been a disastrous build order loss again. Vibe puts on enough pressure to keep the Mutalisks at bay long enough to establish a defense. And now here comes the test of that defense. Now, he does have a lot of Queens out on the field, like we've been mentioning, and the creep spread, pretty darn good considering it is a ZBZ. I do like how Sen recognizes that, is going to go ahead and clean up those creep tumors with that Overseer. Not something you see very often. This is something you might expect to see in like a TBZ, where they're cleaning out the creep, but he realizes, you know what, he's relying on that creep for his defense with the Queens. I'm going to go ahead and clean that out. Now, Vibe is rushing towards Passing Glance. He wants to get out those Infestors. Should be starting the Infestors pretty soon here, so that they spawn with that additional energy, and one good fungal on the Mutas can end everything. Unfortunately, the Spore Crawler is out of position, does get a Muta pickup, and I gotta say, taking a look at the units lost here, John, this looked a lot worse for Vibe than it currently does, but Sen can still turn it around quite easily. He can, yeah. This is looking a hell of a lot better for Vibe, as you said, than it did previously. He is taking some damage here and there. We're looking for yet another possible cancel as a big Ling attack comes in with +2. A +2 Carapace is about to go in as well, so these Lings are extremely destructive versus pretty much anything that Sen's got. And you see, it smashes through, and this is finished. He might end up killing this. And in the meantime, the damage these Mutas are doing, he's killed 10 workers, but that's not enough to actually slow Vibe down yet. Yeah, because Vibe is currently ahead in workers, so losing 2 more, he's going to be even, which is quite interesting. Although I got to say, Sen making this many roaches such a brilliant move right now, because Infestors, I mean, what are they good against? They're going to be good versus the Mutalisks. I don't think we even see any Infestors, though. 4 now. 4 on the way, just beginning. But Sen making the correct choice, and I got to say, he's always seems to be one step ahead of Vibe. Yes, Vibe was able to do some damage. Yes, he bought himself some time. But, you know, once he gets the answer for the Mutalisk, Sen is like, hey, that was so 5 minutes ago. I am now working on
fast roach. And yes, fungals do some okay damage versus roaches, but you can never kill that many roaches with how few infestors Vibe has right now.
What Vibe can do, though, is take full advantage of those ground upgrades and surge Lings, get a surround and destroy his opponent. Because, yeah, usually Lings aren't that great against roaches, but when those Lings are 2-2, with infestor support to lock the roaches down, the surrounds can be devastating. And he's got 11 queens right now, and they have +2 carapace as well. And they're defending extremely well. There's going to be a lot of transfuse available here. The concern I've got is there's no Lings on the field right now.
I gotta say, I think Vibe has a misread right here, John. He's making 6 drones. He doesn't realize there's so many roaches. I was keeping an eye on his vision. He didn't realize how many roaches are headed this way. And look, there's the preemptive split. He knows fungals are coming his way. As long as he dodges those, it is all easy for Breezy right now, trying to take this out. Looks like the Queen's out of position. There's the fungals. They are whiffed a little bit. Remember, it's much more difficult to land these fungals. And as I was saying before, no Lings, no anti-air. These infestors are worthless. Backed into a corner. That's going to be it. I think Sin is going to crush through. He's about 100 supply ahead, given partially because of the roaches. But, you know, at the end of the day, that is enough. There's a GG. Well played as Sin drops the first game.